Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This video is going to be talking about the evolution of one of the best characters from the Walking Dead TV series and comic book series as well. Didn't quite make the top 10 list yet, for me anyway, my top 10 list of which characters that I think are the greatest in the Walking Dead, but certainly in a couple seasons is going to have to be on that list for sure. It's going to knock somebody out in place, and that is Carl Grimes. Alright, so this should be a fun one, talking about Carl's evolution. So out of every character, I would say, in the Walking Dead TV series, and probably the comic book series, this is true as well, that we've known since the beginning, so that we met at the beginning of the series and is still like a survivor, surviving and alive at this time in the series, comic book or TV series. I would say that Carl has to be the character that has probably evolved the most, absolutely the most, because he went from, if you remember the beginning of the series, just this defenseless little kid that really wasn't able to defend himself against walkers, couldn't shoot, was basically the type of, now he is just a kid, so it's not his fault, but kind of a burden for people to have to try to take care of in the zombie apocalypse. Not that it's his fault or anything like that, not saying kids are a burden, but in a zombie apocalypse, it makes it more difficult if you have a child with you and you're trying to survive and you're trying to do all these things, because all he can really do is get himself in trouble and almost get eaten by a walker like he did in, what was that, season 2 with Dale, if you guys remember that. Indirectly caused the death of Dale, and he's got a pretty good list of kills. Let's look at it. So he killed Dale indirectly because he didn't tell anybody about the walker that he saw in the forest, and he did stir the walker up and get him loose in the mud and everything, and then next thing you know, that was the same walker that ended up killing Dale later. So that was kind of an indirect kill for him, sort of, environmentally, interference-wise. Then you have Shane. He put down Shane, zombified Shane, of course, in a great scene, if you remember the end of season 2, when he's pointing and Rick thinks he's pointing at him, because at a point Shane did become like a surrogate father at the beginning of the series. After they thought Rick was dead, you had Shane, who was taking care of Carl and kind of acting as a father, a fatherly figure. And I think even to this point had a great influence on Carl and his behavior. So he killed Shane. Then he had to kill Lori before reanimation. So he killed her. She was dying at that point, or basically dead, before becoming a zombie. Any character that has to put down their own mother, if you can do that when you have to, you can do anything. I think that most characters would struggle with that. Remember Andrea struggling with Amy, waited until the absolute last second before doing it, and even to the point where some of the other characters around were worried that she wouldn't be able to do it. Carl seemed to have next to no trouble to do it, and didn't. Obviously you could tell it bothered him, but kind of like just cold, just really cold. So, for a kid to be able to do that is pretty amazing when he has to. Because I imagine a lot would not be able to. Morgan is a good example of somebody that couldn't put down his wife, couldn't put down his son, at least in the comic book series. The TV series, we don't really know. But, yeah, but, that's definitely a tough thing to do. And then he killed Jody and numerous counts of zombies. Was Jody that kid from the end of season 3? Let's see here. I'm just looking at a list here in the wiki. Yeah, his name was Jody. Well, that's a gay name. He deserves to be shot. But even Herschel really was not that cold and didn't seem to really be able to put that kid down. And that kid did, just to talk about that for a second, that kid did have busy eyes. Like he wasn't really just handing over his gun, just putting it down. He was kind of putting it down, but he was kind of looking around to see if maybe he could cap a shot off, if he'd be able to, what the situation may be, and then Carl put him down. Herschel kind of afterwards makes it sound like to Rick like Carl did the wrong thing. No, in that situation, I feel like Carl did the right thing and he did what he had to do, just like he says. And he kind of, it's like he understands and he knows the rules of this game of surviving in a zombie apocalypse. He's figured it out, where a lot of other characters like Herschel have not quite figured it out yet. The line where it's between, being kind to others, not doing things, and when you don't have a choice and you have to kill. And Carl seems to be able to really do that. So in that way, if you want to talk about, you know, a fatherly figure, who does he sort of resemble most between Shane and Rick, the surrogate father and the real father that returned? I'd have to say he behaves more like Shane, definitely, than he does like Rick. I mean, Rick will do that too. He'll put characters down too, like Dave and Tony at the bar in season 2, for example. In what was it, Nebraska or Triggerfinger? I think of Nebraska. But Carl seems to have even less trouble with doing it. He seems to be able to do it without almost any hesitation whatsoever, and just boom, it's over. Which may become conflicts with him and Rick, because Rick has not really transitioned that far across to be able to do what he needs to do in a zombie apocalypse to protect the group and do things like that. Sometimes he's too kind. Carl is actually maybe a little bit too cruel, or is actually, I would say, maybe that's a good thing to be really cruel like that in a zombie apocalypse. So he's kind of more evolved in that way than even Rick or you know, a lot of the other characters in these series have at this point. Yeah, so in terms of what I expect to see from him in you know, season 4 and forward, I would tend to think that he'll become more like he is in the comic book series at this point, which is just more ruthless, probably arguing with Rick a lot, starting to speak his mind, telling him you should stop being a leader and all this stuff. Probably more of that, and I think it's going to be one of the most interesting characters in the future. And another fun thing with the TV series, too, is that he's going to grow up a lot faster than he did in the comic book series, because every season of The Walking Dead, Chandler Riggs grows a year older. So, you know, in a couple of years, I mean, he's, let's see, I'm not sure how old the actor is now. Is he 13, 14, 15, something like that? Let's see real quick while I'm doing the video. Sorry, just a second. Okay, so he's 13 now. But if we get to a season 7, season 8, he's going to be like, you know, 17, 18. You know, if it goes on 10, he could be like 20 years old if we get a lot of seasons out of The Walking Dead, which would be weird to see. And then I definitely think he could take over as a protagonist for Rick if the show gets to that point. And I think it just might. I think it just might. So anyway, fantastic character. Like I said, you know, not on my top 10 list just yet, but that's just because, you know, he's just starting to come into his own. The first 2 seasons, he was just that annoying little bratty kid that got Dale killed and did all these stupid things. So he's finally starting to come into his own now, and really excited for the future. We'll see where he'll evolve from here, and how many arguments he'll have with Rick, and how they won't see eye to eye, and how everything will work out. So anyway, that's pretty much all I got to say for a character spotlight on Carl for his evolution. Awesome character. Love everything with Chandler Riggs, and how he's a great actor for the kid. I mean, he's done a tremendous job, and he's probably going to have an awesome career ahead of him too, because the show's been so popular and everything. I'm sure he'll be very successful in his career, absolutely. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about the you know, about Chandler and about Carl and the character, and where you think he'll go. Season 4, Season 5, I think he'll get even more colder, man. Just colder and colder and colder. Like ice. For more video suggestions, please write them in the comments below. I'll take them into consideration, and if they are good and I can do them, I will do them. Thinking about doing maybe a top 10 worst or top 10 worst characters for The Walking Dead. Thinking about it. Might do it. Let me know what you guys think about that. Anyway, I'll call it here. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you for the next one. This is Trev, and I'm saying peace.